today's question is, how do you get better at dribbling and finishing inside the paint? The way I kind of see it is like 4 different characteristics. There's strength. What's going on, everyone? My name is Khurram Sultan with the Detailed Dreamers Podcast, episode 1. I feel like I've started way too many of these, but I'm definitely looking for this one to stick. And I think why this one definitely is going to stick is because it's really basketball oriented. It's going to be talking about topics that I deal with day to day in my academy. And often a lot of these same questions that you guys ask are the same questions that my players are also asking me as well. So I figured 2 birds, 1 stone, why not put it out there? And maybe if my athletes have the same question later down the road, I could just refer them to this video. But today's question is, how do you get better at dribbling and finishing inside the paint? Now, I think this is a 2-part question. I'm going to answer the first one as how do you get better at dribbling? And then later I'll add in how do you finish inside the paint. So the first part with dribbling, it has many different characteristics. The way I kind of see it is like 4 different characteristics. There's strength, there's speed, there's coordination, and then there's also decoupling. So decoupling is being able to separate your right hand from your left hand. And often there's players that I feel are fantastic ball handlers, stationary ball handlers. And you can see them do a whole lot of different combinations. You could clearly tell they have the coordination, they have the strength, they have the speed. But sometimes when your hands are connected, it's really hard to showcase your skill and especially your handle in this scenario in a game, because a lot of times if your hands are connected, the moment you feel pressure on one side, you might start doing the same thing on the other side. So I think how to really get good at ball handling, if it was me, I would be looking at those 4 different things, finding what areas are the weakest for me. And then from there, just taking it day by day where I execute a plan where maybe this week I'm going to pick 2 things that I'm really going to focus on, spend 20 minutes on the right side, 20 minutes on the left side, and really work on attacking those things separately rather than trying to do everything at once. Sometimes, especially running a basketball academy, I think a lot of the stuff that I teach is very hyper detailed. And with that, it can seem like you're overdoing it, but at the same time, when you're looking for things like decoupling or being able to work on coordination, as a whole, sometimes it overwhelms players. But being able to separate those things ultimately provides athletes to be able to really create workouts that are more efficient, more worthy of their time. And then also, sorry, I hear nailing, and I can't do 2 things at once. I need to decouple my thoughts, if anything. But yeah, by the way, this is going to be hard because usually I am on the mic with somebody next to me, if anything. And a lot of times you could just ask a really good question and they got to answer it. So if I mess up, forgive me. I'm not going to cut this out. I'm just going to let it roll. But as you're younger, you're working on different characteristics. You might not have the time or luxury to be able to compete against somebody. Oftentimes, I think most players are going to be in the gym by themselves. So being able to break these things down helps your game go to the next level because you're able to add characteristics that involve the game. And if you can do that, then your game can transfer into the game results a lot faster as well. So coordination, strength, speed, decoupling. Now, how I would personally attack it is if I was an athlete, say 15 years old, and I'm working on something to really take my game to the next level. I think for how I used to like to do it and how I've seen a lot of my athletes get success as well is being able to target one thing per week. And in this scenario, we're looking at ball handling. So I'm going to pick 2 things, coordination and strength. So all week, I'm going to spend 20 to 30 minutes creating drills that involve both coordination and strength and really try to fail. I guess long story short, being able to fail is the best way to be able to get better at it. Because if you are doing things to a level where it's 80%, 70% comfortable enough to be able to just complete the drill, you're not really getting any better. In fact, I would argue that if you are going 100%, and not getting it, as long as you have those details in your game, you're actually going to be able to know what to look for even despite through failure. So if you have a ball handling drill that involves strength and coordination, I'm going to be looking at 10 different mistakes before maybe I can even complete the drill. So the way I love breaking it down this way is if I have a certain amount of drills, there's mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and then the drill is like, from a visual standpoint, being able to be seen as done, completed. And what I mean by that is, just because I'm failing doesn't mean I'm not getting better. It's very similar to riding a bike. When you fall off many times, you're still getting better because you know, oh, maybe I need to push the pedal a little bit harder. Maybe I need to lean forward. Little things like that. You can take the same concept and being able to apply it to basketball, because I think this is also a separate topic on habits and how habits form. So how I would attack ball handling is working on 2 of those things per week and attacking it for the full week, and then switching it up. Next week, maybe I might work on decoupling and strength. Okay, on to the second part of the question. How do you get better at finishing? So how I see this is, each player got to see themselves as a problem solver. And even if you, like, forget the math, I hated math too, but let's take a quick look at it. So say driving to the hoop, we're trying to solve for 10, right? What equals to 10? I want to make this very simple, just so nobody gets lost on this. So 5 plus 5 definitely equals 10. So maybe that's your left-hand layup, and you're driving left, your left-hand layup is 5 plus 5. Now, if you have different ways to solve the problem, you're going to get much better at finishing. So if you can solve 10 by 1 plus 9, 8 plus 2, 3 plus 7, and so on, now you're creating different ways to be able to solve the same problem over and over again. Based on space, your footwork might change. New way to solve the problem. You're still finishing on the left side. Maybe you can go first step finish, second step finish, dribble step finish, right? Being able to work on those things, and also attacking them in many different ways, like being able to finish inside hand, outside hand. There's so many different ways to be able to finish, especially footwork attached to your handle and attached to your finishing techniques. So in the simplest way to put it possible is, we all need to have one way to really have a good answer to the problem. So if that's 5 plus 5, that's 5 plus 5. And if you can do that better than anybody else, for example, if Shaq is saying 5 plus 5 equals 11, and 11 equals a dunk, if certain answers that you have are so good, you know what? It's your world at that point. We're just going to be living it. If Shaq says 5 plus 5 is 11, am I going to stop him if he's trying to dunk? Nope. So point being, I don't even know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. Let me comment below if that makes sense to you as well. But if I'm so good at one thing, I need to have that as my go-to every single time. And then from there, if I have different ways to solve that same problem, then you're definitely going to have a much easier time finishing around the hoop, finishing with different heights of defenders, and finishing around defenders too. That's why I think a guy like Kyrie is one of the best finishers of all time, left hand, right hand. He's able to finish both left side, right side, with both inside hand, outside hand, being able to spin the ball in many different ways. And also, the way he's able to get there is also solving the problem. So he knows how to get to the same spot maybe like 10 different ways. So if your dribble step timing, everything's kind of connected together. If your timing's off, your layup's going to be off. If you mean to stutter dribble before you do the layup, then there's specific finishing techniques that you could do out of stutter dribble. There's specific footwork you could do out of dribble step finishes. All of that kind of pieces together, but I think being able to explore many different ways of solving the problem will make you the best ball handler and best finisher. So I think that, honestly, I don't even know how long that was, but if it's short, that's perfect, because we need to get that info out as soon as possible. If you guys enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Please support the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.